13 weeks, and it all comes down to this. You're watching the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, sponsored by 42 Stitches on SYM TV. It's the season finale from Avondale, Arizona's Phoenix Raceway. Welcome to SYM TV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined this afternoon by Liam Sheen for the last race of the regular points season. And 1 week from today, we're going to have the runoffs, the virtual runoffs for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. That will happen at Daytona International Speedway, and we'll see you there in 1 week for that fun event on Sunday afternoon. But tonight, this is it. This is the season finale here, Liam, and it all comes down to one final 40-minute race at a racetrack that I can honestly say I've never seen with an actual race on it before, at least here on SYM TV. This is a weird layout. This is a weird race to have with 40 Spec Racer Fords, but something tells me, just like last week at Watkins Glen, it's going to be pretty wild to watch.
Yeah, this is a really small track when you compare it to tracks like the Nordschleife and all those huge tracks. And this is such a primitive racetrack where the only time I've ever raced on it was back when I was a rookie in road. So it's going to be really interesting to see how everyone crams 40 cars onto this really small track.
Yeah, it is a really small track. It's actually not the smallest, I should say it's not the largest layout that the Phoenix road course has seen. There actually used to be a 2.5-mile road course layout that has since been removed when the track was reconfigured decades ago. Qualifying is underway right now as we head down to the racetrack here, but if you want to follow along, live timing and scoring is available at SymTVBroadcasting.com/timing. And as always, the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors is brought to you by 42 Stitches. Whether it's one piece for that special gift or 1,000 to make your organization stand out, 42 Stitches has you covered. Custom embroidery and heat transfer on a wide variety of items, shirts, hats, jackets, even flame retardant applications where safety is a concern. You can check them out at 42stitches.com or shoot them an email to info@42stitches.com to get your project started. So now down to the racetrack we will head. And the Phoenix road course, 1.5 miles, 13 turns, Liam. This is a weird one, but it is a pretty decent racetrack for cars that don't have a lot of power, and it's hosted SCCA events in the past, so maybe this isn't as weird as we think it is.
Yeah, but it's just with these cars, I mean, you see how they're kind of really sensitive with the steering. So I mean, there's going to be like, as big as this track may seem, it's actually way narrower when you have that little room for error with these cars. It seems like if you just make one small bad correction, these cars will go for a spin and it can cause a big accident.
Of course, we have to cover the point situation. This is the final points round of the season. Maurizio Naselli is the Spec 1 points leader, and this is big news because if you consider David Gaspers, who is second, he has sort of been the dominant force the past few seasons here. He's trailing by 112 points behind Maurizio Naselli. So it is pretty much, unless Naselli has an awful day, I'm pretty sure it's mathematically locked up for Naselli the way that things are going. Gaspers is in second, Felix Simoes in third, Austin Winter, Dan Sadro in fifth. And in terms of Spec 2, the drivers with numbers 200 or greater, Greg Stefani is the points leader. And you have to look back all the way down to Miro Razki in 20th overall in the points to find second in Spec 2. So Greg Stefani, Spec 2 points leader, and Maurizio Naselli, the Spec 1 points leader. Talking about incidents, Maurizio Naselli somehow, after 12 races and going into a 13th, he only has 8 incidents on the entire season. And he's staying clean and staying fast is how he's kept himself out front in the points. It looks like he might be able to clinch a championship here this afternoon. Rodrigo Duran in the number 10, currently the provisional pole sitter here.
Yeah, that was a great lap put down by him. I think he has it, well, just by a little bit over half a tenth on the second place car in the 41. But yeah, it's I think we saw or at least I saw one of the only incidents he had that season, or this season, at I believe it was I'm not sure exactly what track it was, but there was something involving a lap car with him just having nowhere to go. So it doesn't even seem like, you know, the incidents that he has this season were even caused by his misfortune or driving.
Yeah, certainly not. He's been pretty solid and consistent all year long. Austin Winter, we mentioned him in the points championship. Not quite a championship level performance this season, but certainly not a bad one. Currently 6th in qualifying as we've got less than 5 minutes to go. And just a reminder, if you'd like to follow along, live timing is available at the link right there. You can follow it to SymTVBroadcasting.com/timing. Juan C. Lin, we've seen him sort of appear in other places on SYM TV the past couple of weeks, and cool to see him kind of branching out, but currently 18th right now in qualifying overall. conditions. We'll have a look at the weather information here this afternoon, and it is hot here in Avondale, Arizona. 90 degrees air temp. How about 140 degrees track temp? That's hot and slick.
Yeah, and especially with how these cars are, with how sensitive they are with their driving, it's just going to make it that much harder on these guys to try to tame this track. With how narrow it is and how sharp the turns it can be, it's going to be really interesting to see if these guys can keep their cars going straight.
And of course, this racetrack, we talked about it briefly. It's 1.5 miles, and I wanted to have a look down at it from up above here, just so we can get a true appreciation for how wild this layout is. You come down the front straightaway, and then you basically kink off to the left. This is turns 1 and 2, and then it's a quick flick left back to the right. That'll take you over to this infield section where there's this long right-hand corner that is going to force the car to apex early and then balance all the way on an exit. A slight kink that these drivers will just drive straight through, and then a hairpin to get back on the NASCAR oval. It's a pretty wild racetrack to run on. It's a lot of pavement as well, so track limits might be a bit of an issue. There are slowdown penalties for drivers that aren't behaving out there, Liam, but it's going to get dusty, especially on the race start. We've got almost 40 drivers in this grid, and that's a lot for this 1.5 mile tiny little racetrack. Very similar in size to Lime Rock Park.
Yeah, and you see that little gray area, that's not just asphalt, that's gravel. So if you hit that area, you're going to slow down or shoot right to the wall. So it's going to be pretty crazy. You could see those that little bit of gravel there that will cause cars to go straight into the wall, and it's just going to be pretty crazy to see how these guys try to tame this track.
Well, my concern is on the initial start. You look at this, the way that the line takes you right next to this pit wall, and that's maybe a concern when you go 2 and 3 wide off into turn number 1. Carlos Hurtado, this is a new name that I haven't seen here. I've only been around for a couple rounds this season due to my obligations with GT World Challenge America and Grid Life, but Carlos Hurtado, a new name for me in the 666 car, in 15th place right now. A little bit of damage on that car, and I think that's going to be par for the course by the end of this day. Only a 40-minute race, but it's going to get pretty, I would say, physical out there, to say the least. I think we're going to see a lot of pushing and shoving. I don't think aero matters all that much. The top speeds here are barely over 110 miles an hour on the front straightaway, so I'm not really convinced that a little bit of front-end damage will hurt you a lot here, Liam, but keep the fenders on the car the best you can.
Yeah, one thing I observed last time I commentated this series was, I think it was a 23 car. He rallied all the way back up. I think he won the race. I'm not too sure, but he had a lot of damage on his car from early incident in the race, and he rallied back. I think if it wasn't the win, it was maybe a top 10, I believe. So damage on these cars aren't as bad as one may think with how sensitive these cars look. They're pretty much tanks.
Well, if you were commentating at Tsukuba, I don't remember because I wasn't there, he did win that race. He has a handful of podiums, 6 to be exact so far. Last week at Watkins Glen ended up finishing 6th. The worst finish he's had was 46th at Donington Park, but that's the only finish that he's had outside of the top 10 this season. So he's been remarkably consistent when things have been in his power at the very least. Another amazing stat, I think, is Michael Dobak, who has kind of crept up into 6th in the points. Michael Dobak, where did he go? His only finish outside of the top 15 was a 16th spot. No, correction, 19th, which over 12 races is pretty phenomenal. But Maurizio Naselli, his worst finish this season, 4th at Phillip Island. Everything else has been 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. That is unbelievable, and that is why he's leading the points by over 100 as we come into the final round of the season.
Yeah, across 12 races run this far, that's absolutely insane to only finish 4th. And considering 4th as a pretty bad race against this huge drivers and this huge skill level in this field, that's pretty absurd.
Now, I think he did miss last week at Watkins Glen, and I think that's probably a blessing in disguise. He won at the Nürburgring the week prior and decided not to run Watkins Glen for one reason or another. There was chaos and confusion and calamity at the end of the Watkins Glen race last week, and for Naselli, that might have been a blessing in disguise, because that could have hurt his overall running order and maybe taken him out of the championship fight and given Gaspers a good launch here. Gaspers finished 13th at Watkins Glen last week. He has not won since Mid-Ohio back in week number 8, so I think he needs to get back up on the horse. He was 11th at Nürburgring, 13th at the Glen. His 2 of his 3 wins came in rounds 2 and 3, so Gaspers came out of the start strong, but has since sort of tailed off in performance, and I think would like a bit of a return to normalcy here this afternoon. Dan Satro back in 18th. Greg Stefani, Spec 2 points leader. He is currently 17th here with a minute left in qualifying.
Yeah, and you talk about that. It's just all about momentum with these cars, and you just got to be really, really careful and try to get as much positive momentum rolling. And if you can't really get those good races down, it'll just keep getting you down. And that's probably where we see or the reason why we see that performance tapering off there.
So 43 seconds left, and Rodrigo Duran is at the top of the board with a 107.549. Gorka Idirat second in the number 41. Rafael Burbagol, Florence Arabian, and points leader Maurizio Naselli. Then Hawken, Winner, Fritzscher, Simoes, and Vargas, the rest of your top 10 as we prepare for our 40-minute season finale from the Phoenix Road Course here in Avondale, Arizona. Again, my name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Liam Sheen this afternoon for SYM TV. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. We've got more stuff coming up on SYM TV, and keep your eye out on Facebook. Coming up on Saturday morning, we're going to have the Grid Life Elkhart Classic live on our Facebook page. I'll be there commentating the Real World Series Grid Life Touring Cup. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook to see that, and our sim racing events when they occur. Our next event you're going to see on SYM TV will be tomorrow night. 3 wide, 87 stock cars will be headed to their third round of the season. Time to go and run through our starting lineup here, Liam, and on the front row, we're just going to let this scroll across the screen today, but it's Rodrigo Duran and Gorka Idirat in second on the outside. So we're going to let that scroll there. Tell me a little bit about 40 minutes here at a road course that's this small. It shares a lot of similarities, I think, size-wise to Lime Rock Park. How careful are you going to be on that opening lap? Because I think that this first corner is very inviting to just try to sneak up the inside.
Yeah, I think it's going to be all about survival on this first lap. You see how wide that front straightaway is there, but how it tapers off in just probably about 3 lanes. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how everyone funnels their way through there. But I think it's going to be all about survival this first lap and then getting right into a rhythm. With this small track and 40 minutes, it's going to be crucial to have a great rhythm here at this racetrack.
Cut course is also a big concern, so stay within those white lines and don't get yourself into trouble. Also, maybe a little bit of slipstream. Probably not as extreme as we saw last week at Watkins Glen, but still that ability is there. David Gaspers in the number 1 car. He is looking like he's starting from the tail of the field, which I think he's sort of here just for fun this week. I think he knows the championship's sort of out of reach. And I think the goal is just to have fun and enjoy himself here today. We'll have a full pace lap coming up in just a moment, which will not take us too long. We're just waiting for a couple more cars to grid. And now we've got all 37 cars lined up and ready to go. Warm up those tires, warm up those brakes here, Liam, because once we turn that green flag on, we don't get a checkered until we run for 40 minutes, which is 36 laps around here, a lot of reps.
Yeah, this is going to be a really attrition-filled race with how thin this track is, especially with how everyone tries to funnel into turn 1. So it's going to be just a sit back and relaxing, and maybe that's by design for that one, not putting down a qualifying time and starting at the tail end. Maybe he wants to try to get some spots on attrition, but also try to make his way up from front. And hey, who knows, if he wins, he has that little bit of bragging right there by going first to, or last to first.
Yeah, and that's something we see a lot in Oval Series. We see it in some road series as well, and I think if anybody's good enough to do it, it's certainly David Gaspers. Again, you mentioned a race of attrition. I think we're going to see some accidents. I'm not sure it's going to be a total bloodbath out there, but there's always the possibility at a track like this. And my mistake, there's actually 39 drivers here. Yerny Zoritz will be at the very tail end of the field in the final row. Maurizio Naselli, his goal today in the number 44 car is just don't get yourself into trouble and come home clean. No real need to get a podium today. Just a solid top 15 or top 20 will do it just fine, as he waits in 5th place for the start of the race. And then through the S's, we'll head into the hairpin and then back to the other hairpin that will return us to the oval here. And obviously, since this track has been scanned, we've gotten a couple different configurations of Phoenix, and this layout no longer exists, so still enjoying it here in the virtual world as we turn up onto the oval here. Liam, final thoughts before we go green?
I think it just really shows, or this pace lap really shows that how short this racetrack really is. It'll probably be, we saw how quick those lap times were, so I wouldn't be surprised at all to see everyone try to be as quick as they can going into 1.
Field rolling through NASCAR 3 and 4. Not a ton of banking down here, and we actually fall off of the banking on the entrance into road course turn 1, so you don't really get an opportunity to use much of anything around here. But the pace car gets a bit ahead, and it's going to dive off into pit lane here in just a moment. Rodrigo Duran in the number 10. Remember, his victory, his one and only victory, came all the way back where was Duran's victory? I thought he got one. Rodrigo Duran, yes, he won last week at Watkins Glen. Looking to go 2 for 2 the last 2 weeks as we get the green flag from Phoenix Raceway. And for the final race of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, sponsored by 42 Stitches, Duran clears the field on the run down to turn number 1.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he wanted going into turn 1 while everyone else is going to try to get their way through here. No incidents I see as of yet. Everyone's being clean and green right here, and everyone's seeming to funnel themselves through here nice and clean.
I think the advantage of this racetrack is that there is so much pavement, so there's a lot of places to catch yourself if you find yourself in a bad situation. Brandon Hawkin in the 36, he's up over the curbing trying to get Foreign's Arabian. Behind him, Austin Winter. Oh, there's a touch there. Maybe the 36 runs wide as Foreign's Arabian squeezes on through. There's a bit of trouble. The 205 of, I think that's Miro Rasky, and I think it was Haycox.
Yeah, Ian Haycox also involved in that. He's going to get that going. I don't believe it looks like he just spun out going into that corner. Oh, Kenneth Batley has also gone around here.
666 also looped in. They just got all hung up together on the entrance to the hairpin there. So they'll get back rolling, but a bunch of slow cars as they turn back up onto the oval. That's such a slow section, about 25 to 35 miles an hour. Certainly not breaking any land speed records over there, but all about getting the car rotated and back up on the front straight. You mentioned the 222 of Batley. That's fairly significant damage on that car on the right front. As we see Paolo Brem and Aaron Vogel in the 247 going at it. That is for 27th spot. As Angus Waddell, I think, has slowed up a little bit into turn number 1.
Yeah, that had to be a pretty scary moment for that guy that went right in the grass there. Not really something you want to do on iRacing is to clip a tire into the grass because that can easily loop you around here. But this guy is going backwards really quickly, the 53 car.
Yeah, that's Angus Waddell, and he's got massive damage to that car just trying to survive. It ain't going to work. He's going to spin, looped it right in front of the field, and I think we're going to get through without causing a major accident there. But that was about as tight as it gets.
Oh, Thomas Render's also around. Oh, big incident going on back there. One car spun around still. Oh, 2 cars.
Oh, my goodness.
3. They're going to go loop it around. We talked about attrition pre-race, and I think it's really shown here with these guys just trying to funnel themselves through and get their car clean and green to the end. But, man, I gotta hate to see that. Yeah,
this was all just because they were trying to avoid the spinning car of the 53 of Angus Waddell. They're going to see him here. They're going to juke to the right. And you talked about this gravel earlier. And I think that's the 206 of Kern, and just nowhere for anybody to go. There's the 249, I believe that was Paul Jackson, and just stacked everybody up. But that's what's going to happen down here. There's a lot of pavement, but some of it looks like pavement, and it's not. It's gravel, as we got Durant, chasing that 10 car through the middle of the infield here, and he's closing back in.
Yeah, these 3 cars, I believe they're teammates up here, 1, 2, 3. These guys have been the guys to beat every single race this season. I'm not surprised at all that they are the top 3 spots right now.
Rafael Berbagal sitting back in 3rd, keeping an eye on Brandon Hawkin in the 36. He's got Felix Mose tucked up in behind him. And if we talk about Felix Mose for a second, he's also won a handful of races. He won 2 of them, Donington and Zolder, and a pair of podiums in his most recent starts at Tsukuba and Watkins Glen. So the 31 certainly coming on into his own here towards the end of the season. Right now in 8th place, though, would like to be a bit higher than that.
Yeah, definitely. He's been having some really great runs, but it's just been those spoilers at the top 3 spots that have been keeping him from victory. David Gasper's up 18 spots. Yeah, I believe the first 2 laps of the race. So that's really impressive.
18 spots in 3 laps, I think, is what we've got here. So Gasper's did a phenomenal job getting his way up through the field, but still a long way to go to get up to the race lead as Duran tries to run away from Gorka Duran in 2nd place in the number 41, and Rafael Berbagal's chasing him down. And you'll notice the similar paint schemes on these top 3. That is because they're all teammates here, Liam. And the Volcano cars, 1, 2, 3, and this is a lot like how it looked at the Nürburgring. They were all working together there, at least trying to. But here they've got the podium swept if they finish as is, but still 36 minutes to go.
Yeah, and don't look too far back to find the 042. He's not letting him out of his sights right now, and same with that 033. They're going to be trying to challenge these guys to get this podium spot away, but they're trying to work together here to work with whatever slipstream they have here. It's not really that big of a track, but this long straightaway right here through these NASCAR corners are really beneficial for the slipstream.
Foreign's Arabian right now in 5th. He started in 4th, so he's dropped 1 spot. Austin Winter, he's up 1 from 7th to 6th. Now we got the field spreading out just a little bit. Some room to breathe, at least for now. My big concern now, Liam, is the lap traffic concern. We've got 39 drivers on track, and it's going to get very, very busy once the leaders start putting them a lap down.
Yeah, definitely. We saw some lap traffic come into play at Tsukuba with all these guys just trying to get by lap traffic, and some lap traffic just getting in the way and not being able to get around these guys. So I'm not going to be surprised at all if we see some incidents with these leaders trying to get around these lap cars.
Brandon Hawken right behind the 0.33 of Austin Winter, trying to kind of double apex that second hairpin and get a run onto this little straightaway. That kink on the left there does nothing more than kind of set you up for the right-hander. It kind of forces you to stay to the right with that big curb. Up the road, I think that's Maurizio Naselli knocking on the doorstep of one of these podium spots with the teammates out front. Now Naselli, big disadvantage here without any teammates around him. He's got to somehow pass all three of these Volcano cars. I don't think that's likely. They're going to team up and gang up on him to keep him from getting by.
Yeah, and I don't think 2 versus 3 is going to be the winning battle there. Those three look like they have each other's back right now until the last few minutes of the race where they can go for themselves. But these two are going to have to do whatever they can and be in a league of their own to try to get by these top 3.
Austin Winter, here comes Hawken back on by. Felix Simoes watching from in 8th place right now. As they were side by side for a moment, they've gotten sorted back out. Aaron Vogel and Andres Bertoni in behind in the 21 of, actually that's Bertoni, the 247's middle, as I think that was Emil Orza that ran way wide down in turn number 1, so he'll lose 2 spots.
A big moment there. He did a great job keeping it on the track, and these two are going to try to go at it. I believe this, I'm not sure who this is, but I believe the 21 car is going to try to defend going into this corner. He's not going to go for, the guy behind him is not going to go for it, but they're going to get nose to tail here and try to work with each other to get up to the cars in front of them. 20th place, obviously, again, not a bad spot to be, but obviously they want more.
Andres Bertoni is in that number 21. How about 37th to 20th? That's almost as impressive as the climb as the 38th to 19th that David Gaspers has right now as he moves up inside the top 20. For the race lead, though, the teammates working together 0.3 of a second apart. I'm liking how they're looking, but they are not able to run away from Maurizio Naselli. He's keeping them honest, but Rafael Berbagal can play rear gunner here, Liam, and keep that 44 behind them and out of touch with the 2 race leaders up in front.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all that this 44 is not being able to be shook off by these 3 Volcano cars, and we talked about his worst finish being 4th this season. I believe that's not going to be changed here tonight with a 5th place, so he's going to try to do everything he can to get that win here tonight, and I believe he's a guy that's able to do it if it's not the top 3.
Here's this 666 of Carlos Hurtado, who's right in front of Antonio Reyes in the 007, and Reyes is following the 666, who had a loop on the initial lap, got turned back around and currently runs 27th, but Antonio Reyes has gone effectively nowhere, 28th to 28th in 7 laps. And it just shows you how intense this competition is towards the tail of the field here as we work lap number 7 of 36.
Yeah, it looks like Antonio's just trying to get some laps under his belt and get more familiar with this car for maybe a run at it next season. But, 28th to 28th, obviously, I mean, that's not where you want to be, but maybe he's just being a little careful as the season comes to a close.
Good fight here. Felix Simoes up the inside for 7th. Had a look at Winter in 6th. They ran a little bit wide and pushes the 31 farther out wide. Here comes Adrian Jimenez Vargas up the inside. There might touch there. That was very, very close as they come through the middle sector. Ooh. Now some door slamming here, Liam. Getting physical here between these 2.
Yeah, and these cars don't really have that much damage be affecting them, but really close there. The 36 just shoved it in there on that 31. I don't think that 31's too happy with him. He's going to try to get by him, and he's not quite clear of him, and going into this hairpin right here to see if he can outbrake that number 36 car. Oof. Oh, with more contact. Man, that 31 is not having a good time right now.
No, he's getting hit and hitting other people, sometimes through the bat, sometimes through the ball, and tonight he's both. Brandon Hawken pushing and getting pushed, as is the 31 of Felix Simoes. And now they're going to bump draft down the front straightaway here. This is what it looks like from inside the cockpit. Can't really see a whole lot out the nose of these cars when you're pushing that tight, but try to close back up to the 65 up in 7th.
Yeah, that 36, oh wow, big moment there. That 31's being super defensive on that 36 car. We're going to see what the 36 can do into this really high braking zone right here. He's not going to go for anything right now, but he's going to try to close up on that 31 by taking that wider arc. Not going to happen.
Great fighting here in the infield with 30 minutes to go. We're 10 minutes down. Here comes the 702 of Jeff Frischer. He's actually currently the Spec 2 race leader over Greg Stefani, who's 12th overall right now. So Frischer having a pretty good race so far with Hugh Haycock's tucked right up underneath the rear tailpipes of that blue and red 702 car.
Yeah, that 702 car is running really well here tonight. I believe he is the points leader in the series, but if he is, I'm not too sure on that, but if he is, this is obviously a really great points day for him in the Spec 2 class. 10th place is something not to be ashamed of, especially even if he fell back 2 spots. 10th place is certainly not a small feat in this league.
Ian Haycock's, the damage he sustained earlier in the night looks like it's going to take him down to pit lane to get that repaired. That's really unfortunate for the 35. Rodrigo Duran continues to lead this race with Gorka Irat behind him. I'm just tripping over my words today, Lynn. I don't know what's going on with me. Forens Arabian in 5th as he tries to get by the 44 of Maurizio Naselli, and judging by the tailpipes of Naselli's car here, have a look. There's a little damage to the rear of that car. I think there's been some contact.
Yeah, maybe the 042 tried to get something going on that 44. Oh, probably right there is when it happened. But here comes the lap traffic. We talked about this earlier, and it's starting to come into play here. The 23 is maybe going to get challenged by this 44 going into this corner. Not quite.
Oh, there's a touch there. The 314 of Arthur Grant and the 23 of Rafael Berbigal. The 314 is a lap down, and this is what I was talking about the lap traffic. It's going to get very, very dicey here as they start to put these cars a lap down. And it looks like they got through without too much contact and too much damage, but that's only one. There's a whole lot more to put a lap down before this one's over.
Yeah, these two have been, we talked about this earlier with those 2 lap cars, or with the lap traffic, and the 44 almost had a move made on that 23 car, just wasn't able to quite get to his get into his inside going into the corner.
And Forens Arabian following Naselli. I can't decide if these drivers are working together or if they're battling each other just as hard as anybody else. Big slide on corner entry.
Oh, man.
Arabian, nice correction there for him as they squeeze around the outside of a car returning to the racetrack. Look at behind them, Austin Winter, and that next group of cars passing the 314, getting wild out there in the infield.
Yeah, everyone's trying to do the best they can to get around these lap cars. I see a few off tracks by Brett Nordstrom, but it doesn't look like anything else is being affected by that. But this lap traffic is definitely affecting these leaders, and probably not in the positive light. Arthur Grant has crashed. Oh, Greg Stefani also as well.
Oh, man. Greg Stefani around. This is over. I think it's in a hairpin again. That's been the trouble spot today.
And they'll get it going, and just looks like he got a little bit of help from looks like the damage on the back end of his car, and it looks like they tried to race going into the corner, and we'll see right here. Oh, one car goes wide. He goes for the pass on the inside here. We're going to see what happens.
Oh, the 222 is going to tag the gravel, and that's what does it.
And we talk about.
Yep, go ahead, Liam.
Yeah, we talked about the gravel with how it causes cars to just shoot straight, and that's probably just a classic example of that going on there. But 10 of Rodrigo Duran has been dominant this entire race. We're going to see if his teammate and Gorka Idarit is going to be able to challenge this 10 car.
Well, I can tell you what, Rafael Berbigal has begun to lose time on his teammates here. If we look from up above, you see the gap now between these cars a lot different than the one between these cars. They were even before, but now the 23, the car looping right in front of them at the exit of the corner, and somehow that wasn't a pileup. Brett Nordstrom goes wide at the exit of, I think that's turn 7 over there. And he's having a rough day. That almost collected a couple of the podium finishers.
Yeah, he's spun around quite a few times in these last few laps and just doing everything he can to hang on to his car and get some laps under his belt, but obviously not the race he's looking forward to, and he's going far off track multiple times. Oh, Brett Nordstrom and Paul Jackson are also around.
Yeah, and this is a tricky racetrack. We always talk about the dynamics of this particular kind of race car, what's called lift-off oversteering. These cars love to spin around on you if you don't have throttle application put in them. They will more easily spin off throttle than on throttle, which is very different than a lot of race cars, especially different than oval cars. So you see this good battle here between Winter, Vargas, Simoes, and Hawken. These cars are really challenging to drive at a slow racetrack like this where you're constantly on and off throttle. And these abrupt maneuvers really throw these cars into a tizzy.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised that all these guys, oh wow, big correction there, but I'm surprised that no one in this top 15 has seemed to make a mistake here tonight. One car that's still climbing up through the field is the one of Gaspers. He's been making a really great climb through the field, all the way up to 14th from 38th.
That's pretty impressive. We kind of saw this coming. I'm just a little bit surprised that we didn't see more car contact. I think we've seen a couple spins, Liam, but maybe not the attrition in the way that we were thinking, or certainly attrition. I think it's just sort of single and 2 car spins, and that's actually helped Gaspers move forward. To see Dominique Bureau big slide in front of Dan Sadro as they return to the oval here.
Yeah, and we saw a good bit of contact with battles, but it takes a lot to spin out a car without spinning it out yourself. What it looks like with these cars. Doesn't really look like contact will affect these cars much, as we saw in the ORL race last night, where just one little bad tap caused a car to spin around and wad up 14 cars.
There goes Gaspers up the inside now. Launches down, grabs 2 for 1, and there's a car leaving the pits. That is the 249 of Jackson coming back out on the racetrack. And jumping back up to 7th, Simoes and Hawken continue to battle. And right behind them is Adrian Jimenez Vargas, and these three have sort of been trading spots back and forth all day today. And I'm not really sure anybody is clearly faster than anybody else in this 3-car fight.
Yeah, this 36 car, he was trying to get by that 31 car earlier, and they made some contact with 36 trying to get around him, and he hasn't been able to get around this 31, so I'm trying to think maybe this patience with the 36 car is starting to run out.
Tom Gradwell in the 299, haven't really talked about him yet today. The progress has been slow for him. He's one of the Spec 2 drivers, and we talked briefly about the Spec 2 race lead. Well, Jeff Frischer now has the Spec 2 race lead by a pretty enormous margin. The next car in line in his class is Simon Mayer, all the way back in 19th overall versus 10th for Frischer. So there's definitely some gap between the Spec 2 leaders as we have David Gaspers head on by, but one of the drivers that is hit pit lane is Adrian Vargas. I would assume that this is a scheduled pit stop here as they hit pit lane.
Yeah, and a few incidents going on track with some cars going off track, but no problems there. But it looks like this is going to be the first first one of the guys to lead him onto pit road. I believe he can make it from here, maybe a few minutes short.
Yeah,
but,
no, you can definitely make it on one stop in these cars. They're relatively fuel efficient. You just will have to come down and make one. Here's a battle for 16th, and Samuel Dick and Andres Bertoni for 16th spot. The 119 and the 21's going to pile in there and take them both out, and another car gets collected in that as well.
Yeah, you hate to see that. I think that was Samuel Dick that was also involved in that. Andreas Bertoni also involved in that. Yeah, you really hate it to get involved in someone else's contact there, and man, that's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I think Samuel Dick was already kind of crashing on his own, but then the 21 just slides. It's such a weird way to get in there. It's to slide sideways and end up collecting the 119 as well. So both those drivers will spin around and lose some ground as we jump back up to 3rd place. Rafael Berbigal, Maurizio Naselli. Naselli goes wide as trying to maybe carry some more speed onto the front straight to get by these two teammates, but Rodrigo Duran has checked out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see the two behind him try to reel him in here and work together here, but they're trying to do the best they can to hold off this 44. Here he comes into the inside of 1, trying to make a move on that 23 car.
Oh, car spun in front of him at the 204. That is Matthew Filipovic, so looks like Duran will get through unscathed as Matt gets turned back around. Greg Stefani is back out on track after his loop earlier in the day. And well, actually, he's going to hit pit lane here as we see a car spinning in the pits behind him. I think that's the 21 of Bertoni, and he has come in with very severe damage on his race car.
Yeah, you see the damage on there. Kent Bately has also crashed once again. That's unfortunate to see, but if you're the 10 of Rodrigo Duran, you have to have a lot of hard stops right now with how many cars you see coming off pit road or go wide, or a combination of the two, or cars spinning out.
Oh, and that look at the big slide by. I think that's Bradwell. Is that, or is it the 247? It's the 247. That's Aaron Vogel, and a bit of a touch there as Vargas goes by in the 65. Is that car have money on it? I can't tell what's on that car.
I can't really see.
No, it's not money. It looks like money from a distance, but Vargas is through to 21st.
And maybe a team logo there or something, but I saw a car go straight going onto the NASCAR roll. That was pretty strange there, but not sure who that was, but one car went straight there, and here's the one car of Gaspers up to 10th from 38th. That's just insane. 28 spots up and just a few laps over half the race at least, or just over. And he's not that far back from the leaders.
Oh, Foreigns Arabian, he's looped it. And he was running up inside the top 5 earlier. He's dropped off. He was right behind Maurizio Naselli for most of this race, but he started to find himself having some issues, so he'll drop from 5th down to 11th spot as we go back to 2nd. And the Volcano cars, Rafael Berbigal's picked up a little bit of right front damage on that car and some left rear damage, but it shouldn't be significant enough to affect the performance of that car.
Yeah, perhaps that 23 is starting to get a little impatient with this teammate in the 41 car, and the 44 is probably really impatient behind him, trying to get by these guys. He knows he's quicker than them. He just can't get the momentum to get the pass done.
halfway here in the final race for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, brought to you by 42 Stitches. Across the line, Maurizio Naselli continues to run in third as Rodrigo Duran, well, he has dropped. When he dropped out of the race lead, how does that make sense? Where'd he go?
That's strange. Did he? Oh, wow. Big moment there. He just, wow. That is strange. Maybe he just went loose. He got a little loose going into the corner. We talked about.
We were watching a little bit behind there. Let's go back and see. I think, did he miss the corner?
Yeah, maybe he. We talked about the oversteer off throttle thing with how these guys just looks like he just got loose going into the corner. Maybe try to overcook it a little bit, and then there you go. The back end steps out. He has to go straight to not spin out his car or wad it up.
Yeah, so Rodrigo Duran drops to fourth. Naselli gets on through into third, and now Naselli with that three-car team weekend down to just two. Now's the time to strike here at halfway with 19 minutes to go. You've only got two drivers in front of you now that are teammates. That's significantly easier to deal with than three.
Yeah, and that 23 and 41 are probably trying to hold that 44 behind them, so that 10 can either catch up or try to keep as much time for that 10 car before the pit stop happens, which we've seen some cars try to stretch it a long way on this race, and usually doesn't work for them, but they usually gain a little bit of time on them.
Simon Mayer, big damage on his number 308. He's actually the driver that got involved in that incident with the 21 a little while ago. He will hit pit lane to correct that damage on that car. Gorky Duran and Rafael Berbagal nose to tail, but so is Maurizio Naselli, the points leader. And it's going to be a three-horse fight at the top of the field here.
Yeah, these three drivers up here have not been letting each other make any mistakes. We saw with the 10 car, that was a critical mistake, and he's fallen off by over double the distance from first to third. Really critical mistake for that 10 car. I don't think he'll be able to recover from it without a mistake.
Yeah, remember, he won one race this season, and he'd like to go for another one. Rafael Berbagal, on the other hand, has won, I believe, a handful of them. And looking at the points situation, Berbagal won one race and podiumed in 5 others. Third at Summit Point, second at Zolder, third at Lime Rock Park, second at Phillip Island, and third at the Nürburgring with his win coming at Tsukuba a few weeks ago. So it's been a pretty successful season, but now Berbagal feeling the pressure from behind.
Yeah, Berbagal has been trying to hold off this 44 for what seems like the entire race, and that 44 is just probably getting more and more impatient. One car off track, I believe that's the 89 car.
Bobby West down into turn one, just overcooked it, and I think he's just going to run off into the grass here. Yep, just couldn't get the car rotated. And if you're going to go off, that's a good way to do it. You go through the grass, keep it straight, you pull the car back on course and continue. I think he only lost 2 or 3 spots in that exchange.
Yeah, and he's looped it around after that. Maybe he didn't want to do that and tried to get it on a straight line so he can get right back on the track, but not going to happen. The 65 Vargas
also just looped
going
it.
off.
Yeah, he just spun around in turn one as well, so he'll drop on back. How about Yerny Zoritz? 18th place. He started dead last in 39th, and there's definitely some damage on that car, and it's a little worse for wear, but still a fairly decent climb forward. I think he will still have to make a pit stop, though, as everyone else will towards the front. Florence Arabian hits pit lane, as does David Gaspers in the number 1.
Yeah, that one's been making a really impressive climb forward, and wouldn't surprise me at all to see him do this to get a few more spots, maybe try to get a top 5 result.
Leaving pit lane now, Austin Winter, Brandon Hawken still chasing Felix Simoes as they've been since the drop of the green flag. This has been one of the most entertaining fights I've seen all season between these three, and no one willing to give up.
Yeah, these guys are trying to make sure each other can be perfect or try to capitalize on each other's mistake. And this 31 car, I believe the 36 finally got around it. No, he didn't. 36 has fallen back a few more spots on that, a few more car lengths on that number 033.
Zoritz on pit lane getting his service done. Rafael Berbagal was real tight to teammate Iturralde into turn 1. Naselli close enough to strike in the infield here somewhere, but I'm wondering if he'll be patient and sit here, maybe make the move towards the end, or if he'll go for it now. I'm not really convinced that you can draft by somebody like you could at Watkins Glen or the Nürburgring. I think you got to make this pass long before the white flag happens.
Yeah, I think you just have to set it up for a high braking zone in one of these hairpins, especially right here. This is probably going to be where if he can get to his back bumper going into here, as you see with those two cars right there, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him pull out and try to outbrake him going into this corner.
Here they come, a big run down into the final road course corner, and not close enough to make anything happen. There's the 750. Greg Stefani, who is a lap down now. And the Spec 2 race leader, still Jeff Frischer. Now he's 7th overall, as he still has yet to pit. We've seen about 2/3 of our drivers hit pit lane. The other third still needs to come on down. Miro Rasky has rebounded into 13th after him looping it around earlier today. Still hasn't quite gotten back to where he started yet, though.
Yeah, and he's 200 number, so he's in the second class here, but here comes the 31 of Felix Simoes. He took that really late strategy at Scuba, and it didn't really work out for him. It actually costed him a shot at the win, so he's going to play it safe and go in early and try to make it work out for him.
15 minutes to go. Gorka Durant has led a handful of laps now after his teammate Barbagal and Rodrigo Duran had lost position. Rodrigo Duran has already come to pit lane.
Oh, car around. That is, I think that's Arthur Grant. He spun around right in front of leaders. He's not going to affect their battle there, but he's going to get it back going and try to make sure there's no cars around him so he can rejoin safely.
So checking back in on the race leaders now as we get down to the last 14 minutes of racing, and Uselli had a run coming, but wasn't able to quite get alongside the 23 of Barbagal just yet. And I think it's going to be a combination of draft and a little bit of a late braking maneuver to get it done. But I don't really know if there's any place in this track where you're really hard on the brakes as Barbagal peels onto pit lane. Maybe Uselli will try an overcut strategy to get by.
Yeah, maybe he'll try to use this lap to try to gain as much time in that 44 as possible. I believe that's 44. Yeah, that is. Or not, no, that's not the 44. That's the 23.
That's the 44.
Yeah, that's the 43 or 44. The 44 is probably going to spend this lap trying to get up to that number 41 to try to get as much track position or at least time on that number 23 as he can. And I think this is smart. Maybe go on this lap and try to also break or beat him going on to pit lane.
Gorka Durant has relinquished some time to Uselli this lap. And if I'm Durant, I'd hit pit lane now. If you had an advantage that's dwindling, this is the time to go to pit lane before Uselli can close up more ground on you. And if I'm Uselli, I stay out. I commit to the strategy. I go maybe 1 or 2 more laps if you can make it. Otherwise, I'd come on now, obviously, so you don't run out yourself out of fuel. Good news is, it's a relatively small track, so if you do run out of fuel, you don't have far to go. Here's Barbagal and Bobby West battling for 9th.
Yeah, that 23 had a really quick stop there. Only fell back to 9th. 10, I believe, has fallen back to 8th. I'm not sure if the 10 stopped yet, but I believe that is the case. But you see that 10 car, he's made up for lost time, and he went as quick as he can, and he's made up time on that 23 car. Yeah,
he actually did have a less time on pit lane. So Duran was the race leader earlier in the day. He has led 17 of the 25 laps that we've completed. Uselli, Hawken, and Frischer all hit pit lane. Gorka Durant stays out. So now we're waiting for Uselli. I'm really curious to see where he will pop out of pit lane in relation to Rodrigo Durant. So Durant is in NASCAR 3 and 4 right now. Uselli should be rolling here very shortly. And there he goes. So there's Uselli. And here comes Rodrigo Durant at speed. And he will go by Uselli, and he should cycle back out to the race lead. But this is all said and done.
Yeah, and what a comeback for this 10 car. I read him off and thought, okay, he's going to probably finish 4th or 5th, but he's already back up into, I believe, that is 5th place, and he'll cycle out as the leader once this 41 and 51 pit here.
And Dominique Bureau, Juan Seedlin also have yet to come onto pit lane. Bobby West does, so does Emil Orza, Tom Gradwell, and Curtis Hurtado, as well as Brent Nordstrom. Everybody else has come to pit lane. Ian Gibson has gone around. That's a weird place to crash.
Yeah, it's pretty strange. Maybe tried to, or got confused there with the corner there and tried to break a little
there was some
early.
help here from the 27. Oh, yeah, there was from Paulo Brem.
Strange. Oh, and a huge hit with that front end. That's definitely going to be a competitive race over for that car.
Yeah, I think there was just a misjudgment there on the brakes, maybe a little early and offline, and that's what caught Brem off guard and turns Gibson into the fence in the 893 car. Unfortunate end to his day. It wasn't really a great day already, but now it's just going to get that much worse as he sits down in 33rd.
Yeah,
hits pit lane. Sorry to cut you off. He hits pit lane. He's back out. But the big news here is that Rodrigo Durant has a lead, and it's 1.6 seconds over Rafael Barbagal.
Yeah, this is a pretty impressive performance by him tonight. He spun out, and I thought he was going to be up, but he gained all that time and change on him, a whole second, and I think this is going to be the biggest lead we're going to see, despite what the 51 has on that 108 right now. I believe this is going to be the biggest lead we've seen all day today.
So Rodrigo Duran, looking at the season that he's had, he only has one finish worse than 11th. He's missed 5 races, make that 4 races this season. He missed the first 3 rounds as well as Mid-Ohio. But every other event, how about this? 50th at Summit Point, not a good day. 2nd, 5th, 4th, 6th, 11th, and 2nd. And last week at Watkins Glen was where he won the race. So he has turned it up at the right time. He's buried in 12th in the Spec 1 points, or excuse me, 11th in the Spec 1 points. But if he had made the other 4 races, he might very well be conversing for 2nd or 3rd in the points right now. So he has been phenomenally fast when he's been here. And now he's got a 2nd and a half back to Berbigal and Idirot, both teammates there, as we see a good battle shaping up here with Felix Simoes, who's 3rd in the points picture. Whereas Naselli, he's dropped back to 9th.
Yeah, really bad pit stop for him. Things didn't go his way in that whole cycle there, and he, I believe he's the one with the finish, hasn't finished worse than 4th, and looks like that's gonna fall or come to an end here tonight with a 9th place effort. I don't think it's going to be easy for him to get by these cars despite them pitting earlier.
Well,
it's going to be...
there are 3 cars in front that still have yet to pit, so that would cycle him to 6th. Now, if he can pass their car, I think that's Angus Waddell, stopped in the apex of turn 7 or 8 there. If Naselli can pass Winner and Simoes, he would tie his worst finish of the season. But still, he's in no danger of losing the championship, but I'm not really sure that there's much to lose here just by coasting around. David Gaspers will cycle back out to 9th when all this is said and done, as Dominique Bureau hits pit lane. Juan C. Lin and Dan Sadro, the last 2 holdouts here, as we see the 41 of Idirot going defensive here on Felix Simoes in the 31 car.
Oh, maybe a little bit of contact there. That 31 got all the way on the back bumper of that car, and oh wow, a little loose going into there. He's gonna keep it going, and man, that 31 is all over his back bumper. Maybe he's gonna set up a pass going into this corner.
He has a really good run on Gorka Idirot here. He'll see if he goes left or right. Bit of a bobble in the braking zones. Big slide and a correction, and he'll hang on. But now he's got Austin Winter on the tailpipes. Naselli takes that opportunity to sneak up the inside. Can he keep the car pinched down there? No, he cannot. Winter re-clears for 7th, but they're going to drag race each other into the hairpin here at the exit of the infield section.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him try to go for a pass here. Not going to happen. Oh, all the way to his back bumper, and he's going to get onto the straightaway. That 30, or I'm not sure who that is, but exactly the number. But he's going to take a wider line, and yeah, the 033 of Austin Winter. He's going to keep going in 7th place.
So Naselli trying to run a wider line to gather some momentum for the front straightaway. Running out of time. Dan Sadro hits pit lane from the race lead, turns it over to Juan C. Lin. He's the last holdout of drivers that have yet to pit. So with 7.5 minutes to go, here comes Naselli. He'll look up the inside. Winner dives into turn 1. Apex is really early to hold that inside lane, but Naselli's going to cross him up here on corner exit. We'll ride on board.
Yeah, you see that 44. He's going to try to get something going here. Jeff Jacobson has crashed. He went around, it looks like, but he's going to try to go for a pass right here into this corner. Yeah, he went around going into turn 1. It seems to be the trouble spot we've seen here tonight with cars just getting too hot into the corner. Oh, wow, the 033 really on those rumble strips there.
Yeah, the turn 1 and the first of the 2 hairpins, I think, have been the trouble spots this evening. At the front of the field, Juan C. Lin has 1 second before he's going to have to relinquish the lead to Rodrigo Duran, who has extended his lead over Rafael Berbigal by 2 seconds. And with 6.5 minutes to go, this is a way to end the season for sure. This would put him almost solidly inside. Yes, it definitely would put him inside the top 10 in points, given that Ian Haycox has had a less than stellar day down in 27th. Ian Haycox was a driver that was in 10th in the Spec 1 standings coming into the night. He will probably drop out at the tail end of the season.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate to see. I'm not sure if he's related to the 34 car, but he's having a really strong showing in 8th place right now. So really strong run for him. At least someone's carrying the Haycox name in this race here tonight. And top 10, obviously not really a bad effort.
Felix Simoes pushing the issue on the 41 of Gorka Idirot. Hairpin corner here with just under 6 minutes remaining as Rodrigo Duran goes by Juan C. Lin for the race lead. So Lin will almost certainly have to give the car up. He could have been saving fuel as well to try to make it to the end. That's a possibility. I'm just not sure that he's going to stick with it, as he'll probably hit pit lane this time now that he's lost the race lead to Duran.
Yeah, Duran is having a really really great charge at the lead here. And man, that is such a dominant run. Over 2 seconds, and then 4 seconds back to the guy behind him. That's just insane.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! I think there was a touch between Felix Simoes and Gorka Durat. He pinched him down onto the apron. That got really dicey there. Couldn't believe that they didn't wad that up. Let's go back, have a look at this. Door slammed.
Wow. You saw that back end shake around there, and that 31 car has been super aggressive, and I'm not surprised at all that he's making these aggressive moves, especially from what we saw earlier in the race. Wow.
I'm not really sure how to rule that here, Liam, because if you look, I mean, he's got overlap. I'm not sure that you could say he's fully alongside, but he's sort of there, and the 41 pulls down across the nose. So I'm glad I'm not in the steward booth today, because I don't really want to deal with situations like that. But either way, I'm sure these guys aren't big fans of each other now, and they're going to have to be, because they got to work together to get by the 206 here, the lap car of Bob Kern, with under 5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, that 31 car probably made a note in his head saying, all right, well, now I have a little bit of permission to return the favor here. And as you see, he's going to try to use this lap car as a pick, make it a little tighter off the corner, but that 41 is going to have such a strong exit off the corner. Maybe he's going to go for the same move once again.
Accelerating now to the final 4 minutes of racing. Maurizio Naselli just got by Austin Winter in NASCAR Turn 3. Move him up a spot. And Felix Simoes is charging with some momentum. Gorka Durat's going to go defensive. They're going to chase each other in the pit wall. All the way down to the inside wall. Back up across the start-finish line. And it is definitely gloves off now to turn number 1. They're chasing each other all the way across the racetrack. There's a push. There's a shove. The 41 loops it and sideways across the field.
I am not surprised at all that happened. He threw a block all the way down to the inside wall. I thought the 31 was going to slam the wall there, but the 41 finally got something that was bound to happen between these two. We saw the incident in Turn 3 or NASCAR 3, and this 31 has such a run off the corner. He goes to the inside. The 41 throws. Oh, he actually does get contact or damage, but the 31 eventually is like, all right, that's it, man. You're done. And then he spins him going into the corner, and I guess that's just what happens when you throw that aggressive of a block.
I think he had enough at that point. So around went the 41 to Gorka Durat. He's only back to 9th place now as Felix Simoes takes over a podium spot. Maurizio Naselli has run him down from 4th. So maybe Naselli could get on the podium after all this. He's tied for his worst finish. I'm sure he'd like to do better than that. He's got 5 seconds on his record, 3 wins and 2/3. So I think he'd like to maybe increase the thirds or seconds or first instead of the 4th column right now, as Winter has kept Naselli honest since he's gotten by.
Yeah, that 44 is, we see a car off track there, but the 44 is reeling in this 31 car, especially with all that damage that 31 car has after dealing with that 41 there. And you see them hugging those curbs there. 31 is trying to get as much of a good run off the corner, but here comes a 44, maybe a passing zone right into here. The 44 is obviously quicker than this 31, and I'm not surprised at all if we're going to see a little bit.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
There's a little touch there, I think, between him and Naselli, and now Simoes, with as aggressive as he was a couple laps ago, I think he's realized that now he needs to be on defense now, driving in the mirrors to keep Naselli behind him. So what was once an aggressive driver, because the driver in front was blocking, I think he's got to start doing that now. Naselli's not going to have any of it. He doesn't have anything to lose right now.
Yeah, that 31 has his hands full right now trying to hold off this 44 car, and this 44 is trying to get as much track position as he can. He's going to try to take a wider arc going into the corner, cut down on the here in Turn 3 or NASCAR 3. He's going to try to get a huge run going on the front straightaway, try to get by this 31. You see all that damage on the 31 car. That can't be helping him one bit with his handling.
No, and I'm sure the aerodynamics are severely diminished. You see how slow he is on the straightaway here. Naselli with assistance by the draft. There's a car rejoining right in front of him. That, I believe, was Tom Gradwell in the 299, so he'll get back rolling at a bad time as Simoes is looking out the mirror at 2 hungry race cars coming for positions. And Hugh Haycock's all the way up to 6th, and David Gasper is behind him 3.5 seconds, up to 7th from the tail end of the field here.
Yeah, up over 30 spots, so that's insane. But here comes this 44. He's going to try to get this the inside spot on this 31. Not going to happen. Maybe something going on into this hairpin right here. Just almost over a minute left of this race. It's going to be interesting to see if this 44 can get this pass done.
This will be the white flag coming back around. So Rodrigo Duran leads by 2.1 seconds. Naselli, and he was slow out of the corner, and Austin Winter goes back by. So that is going to save Simoes, at least for the time being. Now he's got a new foe to keep an eye on in the mirrors of his race car. As we come on through, Rodrigo Duran won last week at a wild finish at Watkins Glen. White flag in the air from Phoenix.
Yeah, and that's probably a huge sigh of relief for that 31, but it's not over yet. Here he comes. Here comes a challenge going into turn 1. That 033 not really far behind from that 31, and that 31's being as aggressive as he can to try to get as much time as that 033, but that 033 is really keeping pace with that 31 car.
Yeah, Austin Winter gained a bunch through turns 1 and 2, now has a good run coming, and we'll see if he can get there. For Rodrigo Duran, he leads this pack by 5.5 seconds. He will not check the mirrors. He's got nothing to worry about there. Felix Simoes, however, is busy watching the mirrors out the right side. Rodrigo Duran, as he comes on through, the checkered flag will wave next time by. Rafael Burbagal in the 23 is second. Felix Simoes, I think he's clear if he can just get through this corner cleanly. I'm not sure that Winter had enough momentum. But for Rodrigo Duran, last week at Watkins Glen, he put himself in position and won. This week, across the country in Phoenix, Arizona, he will come on through his second win in just as many rounds. Rodrigo Duran from Volcano Motorsport will win at Phoenix in the season finale for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, brought to you by 42 Stitches. Austin Winter brings home a fourth right behind Felix Simoes, who lands on the podium after a wild ending. Maurizio Naselli, officially his worst finish of the season, in fifth. He'll claim the championship, and Maurizio Naselli, with a spectacular season, will get to celebrate winning a season by over 100 points over David Gaspers.
That's absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, that statistic with you could have got a podium here tonight, but that's unfortunate that he wasn't able to get it closed in. But this kind of had such a, oh wow, the one with a big drift off that corner. Wow.
Yeah, he actually got hit, I think, right here. Gaspers was running in 7th, and he actually ends up finishing in 11th spot. I wonder if it was because, oh, right there, he's going to get stacked up and looped. And that's what caused him to lose a couple spots there towards the end of the race. And Gaspers will finish 11th. That's sort of just the way that his season went. Just an unfortunate ending. But Rodrigo Duran going to celebrate with his teammates. Rafael Burbagal second place, and Gorka Itarat ends up in 8th after getting looped around by the 31 in the closing moments. I'm sure they're going to team up for a photograph here. But here's a look at your race results.
As you see, Rodrigo Duran with a really dominant run here tonight after being spun, or he spun himself around and he still won the race. So that's just a testament to how talented he is.
And there's the team. They worked hard and they got it done, not only last week, but this. And 3 wide now, and a salute to their team as they come on through NASCAR 3 and 4. Yeah, Rodrigo Duran, the winner here in the last race of the season, gets his second win after winning what was a very dramatic finish at Watkins Glen. And he'll celebrate with the team.
Yeah, that has to be a really sentimental moment for those 3 teammates right there. Looks like 2 people parading behind them. So congratulations to the 10 on his dominant win here tonight. 23 gets a second place finish, and Felix Simoes, after a few late race incidents, will get your podium finish.
Some celebratory pushes and shoves there as we go through the rest of the order. Your Spec 2 champion will end up being Greg Stefani in the number 750 car. It wasn't really his day, finished 21st overall, but the driver that won Spec 2 this evening, I think, ended up being Jeff Frischer, a top 10 run for him in the 702. He will win for Spec 2 in the race, and Greg Stefani will win the championship for Spec 2. We'll step away for just a moment. We'll be back in a moment with interviews. Stay put. Welcome back live to SYM TV and the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, sponsored by 42 Stitches, here with our podium finisher who had quite the eventful closing laps, battling the 41. Felix, take us through those last couple laps, battling with the 41, and take us through that contact there after all the blocking you saw in the front stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it's become a pattern with some drivers. They are overly aggressive in defending, and they have no problem whatsoever to move the car in front of you and cut or bump you on the side. And yeah, I think you guys could see that happening today again. I mean, I wasn't alongside him, but I mean, he had plenty of room. There was no need for him to cut me like this. I mean, whatever. And then yeah, he was just trying to block me, and I tried to go a bit faster in that braking 41, and I ended up bumping him the slightest, but I guess it was enough for to turn him around.
Still a really solid day for you. You ended up finishing in third, and having a look at your season, your worst finish this season was a 48th at Summit Point and then a 19th at Okayama. Everything else was 8th or better, and 3 podiums to finish out your season: 3rd at Tsukuba, 3rd at Watkins Glen, and 3rd again here today. So overall, as a whole season, you pretty happy with the way things went this season?
Yes, I am. So I had 2 victories, 2 wins, and a couple of third places. It was all right. I mean, I don't know if I will be in front or behind Gaspers, but I didn't expect when the season started that I would be ahead of Maurizio and David. So 3rd place, 2nd place, it's as good as I expected, or even better. So I am glad with the season so far.
An amazing season for you, Felix. Good luck next week if you run the V runoffs, and we'll see you there.
Okay. You guys. Bye.
See ya. Moving on now to our Spec 2 champion, Greg Stefani, the number 750. It wasn't a perfect night tonight, Greg, but you'll take home the championship after moving away from your 2nd place competitor by a whole lot of points a whole long time ago. But, I mean, again, the 21st overall tonight, pretty physical out there at times. Take us through your night and your season.
Yeah, imperfect is a nice way of putting it. I think the start was okay, stayed clean for a while, had a really good group with Dominic and Dan that I was working with. And then I think Kenneth and I just had a bit of a miscommunication about what we needed to do in that corner. I wasn't sure if he was trying to let me by or not, so no hard feelings there. And then after that, I just kept finding trouble.
This track is certainly challenging. It reminded me a lot of Lime Rock in some ways. But next week for the virtual runoffs, obviously we are done with our points racing, but we're kind of having a fun event next week. Can we expect to see you there? And what do you think about racing these things at Daytona?
Yeah, I'll definitely be there. I think I've run Daytona once before in the official series. It's a pretty decent track. I should be a little better there than I used to be because I've had a lot more practice at it now from endurance events. So, yeah, I'll be looking forward to it.
All right, Greg. Hey, congratulations. Thanks for jumping in here and having a chat with us, and we'll see you around next time.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Stevie. Thanks, all the Weekend Warriors.
All right, thanks a lot, Greg. Have a good day. And I think, Liam, we're going to wait around maybe just for one more moment to just see if we have Rodrigo jump in here. Otherwise, that's going to wrap things up. And your season champion is Maurizio Naselli in the number 44. He ran a nearly flawless season, Liam, from start to finish. His worst finish tonight in 5th. Unbelievable. So few incidents, so little trouble for him. And just staying non-controversial is sometimes how you win a championship.
Yeah, and that's just an incredible stat to have, is just to have a season that is just as perfect as that is just incredible. And obviously it was not going to be denied of a championship, and that's just how champions race. You just got to race clean, race fair, and there you go. He finished no worse than 5th, and that's just an incredible stat.
An unbelievable stat. We've got more racing for you coming up this week here on SYM TV. Again, if you're curious about following us, we do some real-world commentary as well for Grid Life. It's a North American racing series that just began last year. We're going to be at Road America next week. So Saturday, Sunday, keep your eye out on our Facebook page to follow along for 4 15-minute races with grassroots level race cars and race drivers from all over the country at the National Park of Speed. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Liam Sheen. We'll see you next time here on SYM TV. Next week, you're going to see the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, sponsored by 42 Stitches, V Runoffs from Daytona. And before we go, we'd like to thank 42 Stitches for the sponsorship this season. If you're looking for embroidery, this is the place to go. Whether it's one piece for that special gift or 1,000 to make your organization stand out, 42 Stitches has you covered. Custom embroidery and heat transfer on a wide variety of items, shirts, hats, jackets, even flame retardant applications where safety is a concern. You can check them out at 42stitches.com or shoot them an email to info@42stitches.com to get your project started. From Kyle Heyer, from Liam Sheen, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you for being with us this entire season for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors.